The scene turns to Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas. Final two interleague games of the season for the Colorado Rockies. And welcome inside Globe Life, where tonight the Rockies take on the Rangers, trying to exact some revenge after the last couple of ball games where the Rockies lost leads late and the Rangers prevailed. And with that, we officially welcome you upstairs with my partner, Jeff Houston. I'm Drew Goodman. Glad, of course, you are along with us. The last 4 days have been difficult for the Rockies. 3 times they've carried leads, significant leads, into the 8th inning, and 3 times they were unable to hold it. And you got to move on. I know that's the axiom in baseball, but these are tough, tough losses.
It is hard to move on, honestly, because you expect to win these ball games when you don't have those wins, when you're already kind of counting on them. That's when it's really tough. You look at those numbers on the last 5 games, a 9.19 ERA, 3 blown saves. And the problem with the 3 blown saves is you've had 5 quality starts during that time, and you blew 3 of them. Unfortunately, it's been a little bit of everybody, too. It was obviously Carlos Estevez, but then yesterday Scott Ober gives up 4 earned runs in 2/3 of an inning. So there's plenty of blame to go around, but the one thing you have to do is you have to stop it tonight, and hopefully playing here in Texas, you're able to do that.
Well, one of the positive aspects in the entire second half for the Rockies, and the reason they've been able to make a run, has been their starting pitching. In a word, it's been outstanding, and on the road, especially so.
You look at some of the numbers of what they've been able to do, the quality starts, the ERA, all of that just tells you that this pitching staff has been different than pitching staffs in the past. Jorge De La Rosa, his last 6 starts out on the road has just been phenomenal. He had 5 of those just in the month of July. He was the only major league player to have 5 starts in the month of July. Jorge's kind of reinvented himself too, because we're starting to see that fastball again, but the split fingers really come back into play for him because he had gotten away from it a little bit, but he got back to throwing fastballs, throwing curveballs, getting that split finger where he needed it to be, and the big key for him is locating that one.
Well, the last 19 games, the starters have an 11-2 mark and a sub-3 ERA, and overall, the Rockies have the 3rd lowest ERA on the road in the National League. Great stuff. They have to turn them into victories, obviously. So the Rockies will play the Texas two-step down here at Arlington. It is hot, hot, hot outside. Colorado, Texas, come on back to Arlington with us.
Colorado Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by the 2016 Toyota Tundra and your hometown Toyota stores. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide.
Beautiful evening in Arlington, Texas. Rockies haven't been here in a couple of years. We're at Globe Life Park. They're thinking about getting themselves a new home here. They're about 9/10 of the way to having that done. Charlie Blackmon's going to lead things off, and the Rockies lineup looks like the following as we glance at the Southwest batting order. DJ LeMahieu will bat second. Then Nolan Arenado. Nolan really turned it around on that homestand. He'd been scuffling a little bit. He got red hot. Mark Reynolds is going to bat cleanup. No Carlos Gonzalez again tonight. Is available to pinch hit. David Dahl, 15-game hitting streak. He'll be in that 5 spot. Ryan Rayburn traditionally has hit very well here in Texas. Gerardo Parra, Nick Hundley, and Christian Adames. Rayburn the DH since we're in the American League ballpark. Martin Perez, an interesting guy, is having a very productive year. And Martin is a different guy at Globe Life than he is out on the road, Huey.
Out on the road, 1.7 with a 6 ERA at home. He's 6-1 with the 2.54. Talking to some people around here with Texas, they're saying, "Mop, we really don't know why he has such good numbers here compared to out on the road. It just worked for him." But you will see a fastball, changeup, curveball, slider mix. Guys are hitting 280 against his fastball, and that's what's really given him problems the last 6 starts or so. Trying to throw it up in the zone more, it's been working down. When it's down, it doesn't have the same movement on it.
When he's on, he gets a lot of ground balls. So Charlie steps in. Yesterday, he hit a home run in the first inning for his 14th of the year. 19 times in his career, a leadoff home run. More than Curtis Granderson of active players hitting home runs in that leadoff spot. And that's up and in.
It's the second home run in 4 games leading off a ball game for Charlie. They wanted that pitch away to him. He goes down and rips it when they miss location inside. Give the Rockies that early 1-0 lead.
Yep, they scored another run on a base hit by Nolan in the first frame. Here's the 2-0. That's in there. Had a 4-0 lead, a 5-1 lead, and then I won't
just stop there.
Give you the gory details from the 8th inning forward. It has been a rough few days for the Rockies, and the only way you can change the narrative and move past it is get something done here. This is a chance for Charlie, and that is thrown away. He'll end up at second base. So a good start. You catch a little break there on a roller to the right side.
And this is where you'll see the inexperience of Profar, the first baseman. You just watch him for a moment. He starts to charge, and he doesn't quite know what to do. Do I go get it? Do I go to the bag? What do I do? And that caused some confusion between the shortstop, the pitcher, the first baseman, all of that. Then Perez tries to make a throw to first. I mean, that's a tough place to try to make that throw, and then for the first baseman to try to catch that ball. So it'll be a base hit for Charlie, and then an error on Perez, his first of the year.
He'll take advantage out of the gate. LeMahieu steps up. DJ, third leading hitter in the National League at 327. Rockies have been a good road team all year. We've discussed that frequently. 27-29 coming in, especially when you compare that with their history. Just one time have they finished a season above 500. That was in 2009, the last time the Rockies were in the postseason. They went 41-40. After the last few days, the Rockies dropped under 500 at home, a 3-5 homestand. They're now 28-29 at home. And a base hit for LeMahieu. Blackmon is going to get a green light, and no throw from Shin-Soo Choo. That was really odd. Choo had the baseball before Charlie had hit third base. He showed no inclination to come and get it and make a play on it.
To me, this is 2 mistakes here within the first 5 minutes of this ball game. One by Perez, and now this one by Choo. Charlie had to freeze on this ball because he wasn't sure if it was going to get over Odor's head. Look at the concentration on the Subaru Supermo. Inside out swing by DJ, kind of patting. And Charlie freezes momentarily, just enough where you think Choo would come up and make a firing throw to the plate, but he doesn't.
He had to move a few steps to his right, but
still, out of courtesy more than anything to your pitcher, throw the ball to hit the cutoff man.
So the Rockies, 2 hitters in, have a 1-0 lead. They take advantage of that error on Martin Perez. And Nolan, who hit .414 with 4 home runs on the homestand and 12 ribbies, is up there. He studies that pitch, and it's called a strike. It's 1-1. Asked Nolan around the cage today if there was something different for him, what got him going. And he said, you know, just a commitment to make sure I got my A swing off in each at bat.
Every hitter will go through ruts during the course of a season, whether it's mechanically, whether it's mentally. Something's happening to get you out of whack. And so what you do is you just start with basic things. Like you said, get my A swing off, or make sure my foot gets down on time, whatever your timing mechanism might be.
This ball's driven to center field. It's right at Ian Desmond, though. And that is the first out. Let's take a look at the defenders for Texas. They're 20 games north of 500, 67 and 47. They've won 4 in a row. You focus on the former shortstop, Ian Desmond, and he's very comfortable in center field. Delino DeShields and Shin-Soo Choo with him. Beltre Andrus, Odor, and Profar in the infield with Jonathan Lucroy behind the plate. So here's Mark Reynolds. Mark at 279, 12 home runs. He's driven in 48. And Perez's pitch is in there for a strike. The crew chief is the home plate umpire tonight, Greg Gibson. Carlos Torres at first, Paul Emmel at second, and Mike Estabrook is at third.
Same 4 umpires we saw back in Denver.
From a statistical standpoint, it's looked upon as 2 different series, though, as you said, from a major league standpoint, it's a continuation, and that's why the same group of umpires is working down here in Arlington.
And I think it's smart, rather than just 2 games and slide another crew in for 2 games. These guys have a feel of how these ball games have gone back in Colorado. It's an easy travel for them to come from Denver back down here.
Yep, short flight. Look out.
Greg Gibson's going to give Mark a chance to dust himself off. Up and in. They wanted it in. And that dive out of the way on the Subaru Supermo. Did the right thing by turning away from the baseball.
2-2 on Reynolds. DJ will draw a throw. RBI for LeMahieu was his 41st. So the Rockies will play 2 here in Arlington tomorrow afternoon, no television, and then we'll pick up again on Friday in Philadelphia. Weekend set against the Phils, and then back home to see the Nationals and the Cubs. And this is on the ground to short, and it's dropped. Safe at second base. Odor just flat dropped it. And now I'm sure Jeff Bannister is going to want a review of this to see if the out was recorded and he came out on transition. What a break. I mean, when a team does this, gives you honestly 5 outs in an inning, you must take advantage.
You can't sleep on it. Easy throw and feed. What happened? No, he never caught it.
No.
It never went into his glove. And that's just a cardinal sin of trying to turn 2, because his head started to look towards first base before he got the ball into his glove. That's his 15th error this year as a second baseman.
It's a boatload. That is a boatload on the right side in the middle. Right now with Odor, you hope, from a Texas Ranger fan perspective, you hope he drives more in than he lets in, which he has. He's got 21 home runs. So here's David Dahl. All of a sudden, it should have been inning over.
because not just giving him an extra out, it's really, that's a double play ball. It's an easy double play. 2 on for Dahl with 1 out. And he hits this ball in the air down the left field line. This is going to be a tough play in foul ground. No play for Beltre. Gave it his best, Nolan Arenado. So a 15-game hitting streak out of the gate to begin his career for David Dahl. It's the second longest by a Rockies rookie to begin his career. But Juan Pierre's 16-gamer in 2000 is the second longest ever. You have to go back to Oleno in 1941, who hit 17 games to begin his career.
That was Chuck with the 41 Reds.
And Dahl hits it on the ground to first. They get 1 there, the return throw. Not going to get Dahl's first and third. 2 outs, and that will allow Rayburn to hit. Well, Ryan Rayburn has come to Texas a fair amount in his career, being in the American League. 55 at bats here. He's got 18 hits, a .327 batting average. Some comfort level there for Rayburn.
This has a nice backdrop here too when you're standing in the box looking out towards center field. They got the grass berm behind there, but you can still pick up the ball because there's no fans back there. It's just a great setting and a great feel when you're standing there watching the pitcher deliver the baseball.
0-1 on Rayburn. The other thing about Perez, not only does he get about 52% ground balls, which is a terrific rate, he does not give up home runs. He's a contact pitcher, though. He's not going to strike out a ton of guys.
He's given up 144 hits and 139 in a third innings coming into the game. So that was the second most in the American League, and also the 10th most in all of baseball. So he does give up some hits, those seeing ones that get through.
0-2.
Also keeping track now after that double play wasn't turned, how many extra pitches Martin has to throw. So far it's been 5 extra.
DJ's at third and David Dahl at first. So it's been a good hitter's park. And the Rangers have populated their lineup typically through the years with good hitters as well. It's one of the reasons they've put up large numbers in this yard. Fans, when the Rockies score 7 or more runs, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day. Do it between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special. Live Mas at Taco Bell. So now the count is 2-2 on Rayburn. And they got him on a breaking ball. So the Rockies do get a run. An infield hit and an error put Blackman at second, and his buddy LeMahieu delivered a 1-0 Colorado. First, Texas helped out with the 2 boo-boos in the first inning. Drew Goodman, Jeff Houston, Jenny Cavnar long in a little bit. Shin Soo Choo is going to lead things off for Texas. Came in the ballgame defensively late, had a couple of bats yesterday. Southwest batting order for the second-year skipper Jeff Bannister. Ian Desmond, who led off for the first time all year in yesterday's game, will bat second. Beltran's in as the DH, the former Yankee most recently. Adrian Beltre, Rougned Odor. Jonathan Lucroy down from Milwaukee. Jurickson Profar, more of a middle infielder, but he's been playing first of late. Elvis Andrus and Delino DeShields against Jorge De La Rosa, looking for his 101st career victory.
He should have had it in his last start against Miami. It was a no decision, but he went out through 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, only 1 earned run. That was his 5th quality start for Jorge. We know about the pitches from Jorge. The split finger is going to be key for him tonight against this rugged Texas Ranger lineup. He's got to be able to command that secondary pitch.
His last 10 since returning from the bullpen, returning to the rotation. 5-3, 3.34 ERA, and that's in there for a strike. His last 6 on the road, he has a 3.05 ERA. That's some more good news in his career, which has been an outstanding one. De La Rosa's best month is August.
Yeah, 3.93 ERA during that month.
Splitter count, and he got him with a splitter. 3 pitches, and Shin Soo Choo is gone. Hey, you look at his career month by month. The 35-year-old in April of 479, May, not real pretty, 538, and then it starts getting better and better and better. Remember that year in 2009, the Rockies took off. You know, Clint was relieved of his duties. Jim Tracy took over, and from late May forward, the Rockies had the best record in baseball, and a big part of that was Jorge De La Rosa, who was winless, and on June 1st, somewhere right around there, he picked up his first win of the year. He ended up winning 16 games.
And it felt like every night he was going to go out there and was going to win, and pretty much did. I think with De La Rosa, maybe early on, as you said, in April and May, the weather's not as warm sometimes when he goes out there, so it's harder to throw a split finger when it's cold. When it's warmer, it feels like it slips out of your fingers better as it starts to travel to the plate.
1-1 on Desmond. Desmond's a tremendous athlete. Played shortstop his entire career in Washington. He was originally selected when Washington was the Montreal Expos. But he was making 20+ errors a year at shortstop, and I think that's one of the reasons teams stayed away in the offseason, and Texas got him on a 1-year deal. Not going to get a 1-year deal this winter, I guarantee you that.
It's going to be a 3 to 5 year for Ian.
Carlos Beltran coming up. Join in on the conversation tonight. Send us your thoughts, questions, photos perhaps. Use Twitter or Instagram and include the hashtag #ToyotaTalk. Beltran in from the right side against left-handed pitching. He's hitting .355 this year. This guy's forgotten how old he is, Huey.
Started yesterday, missed a few games after being injured in Houston. But just to see him, and he's going to be that next guy when you're talking about Hall of Fame numbers and where does he end up. You're going to look at his numbers from both sides of the plate, and they're going to be Hall of Fame worthy because of not only the talent, but what he's helped accomplish with his ball clubs.
And a great postseason record for Beltran. Playing in Texas is not unfamiliar territory either. You know, great years with the Houston Astros. So he's used to the midsummer heat down here. Here's the 1-2. That fastball turned it over. It's away, 2-2. Well, A-Rod for another couple of days is in quotations active. He's going to play, gee, thanks,
skipper. He's going to play against Stephen Wright tomorrow, the knuckleballer in Boston, and then his final game will be Friday back in the Bronx. And David Ortiz having an MVP final year, and he has stuck to his gun so far, saying he is going to retire. So you look at that list, and you have two guys that are departing the game soon, imminently for Rodriguez after the season for Big Papi. And there's a base hit for Beltran. Two out, and that'll bring up Adrian Beltre. The Rockies defensively have Parra in right for Cargo. Cargo, and talking to him, hopes to play in that Philadelphia series on Friday. The ankle's feeling a lot better. He's walking around. When you put the spikes on, not as comfortable. Arenado, Adames, LeMahieu, and Reynolds in the infield. Nick Hundley doing the catching. Tony Walters was involved yesterday. Day game after a night game. Beltre at 37 takes a strike. He's feasted on the Rockies. Last 43 games against Colorado pitching. A .411 batting average with 14 home runs and 46 driven in. Multi-hit games for Adrian in each of his last 3.
Well, another guy that doesn't seem to age with what he's doing, the numbers he's putting up. The bat speed is still there.
He's a remarkable guy. And, you know, you talked about Beltran, who's at first. We were discussing this the other day, that Beltre, for me, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Beltran may one day get in also when his playing career is complete. And they're not just really talented guys. They're the guys you want in a clubhouse.
Well,
also.
I mean, that's why they went and got Beltran at first base.
That's a good pitch. I've seen a number of curveballs already from De La Rosa.
Well, there's some humidity down here, so he feels comfortable throwing it. That is a big break on that pitch. And it keeps the hitters off just the fastball and split finger.
And it shows fastball in, so it's a full count. And you'll get movement at first for Beltran. Beltran was 0 for 9 before that single lifetime against De La Rosa. Beltre's just 1 for 7. Here's Odor. And a walk. So now with 2 outs, all of a sudden there are 2 guys on. The walks are not far into De La Rosa.
It's his 43rd walk in 91 innings. 91 2/3 to be exact.
Odor had a double late in the ball game yesterday to drive in a run.
He's been hitting a lot of doubles lately.
Pitch misses, ball 1. Two for 5 in the ball game yesterday. Talking about the doubles, he has 6 in his last 7 ball games. Two and 0.
All of a sudden for Jorge.
You know what? If you look at the Subaru strike zone, 2 pitches that easily could have been called strikes.
And then you feel like, yeah, I've got to put it right down the middle to make him call it. I mean, every single one of those have been at the edge of the strike zone on the Subaru strike zone. He finally calls one. Did Greg Gibson.
3-1. Well, this is the guy you want. You're left on left against Odor. On deck is Lucroy. 2 quick outs for De La Rosa. Strikeout on 3 pitches of Shin-Soo Choo, and then he got Desmond to pop out. Adames right up the middle against Odor. Here's the 3-1, and he loses Odor. So the bases are loaded. And Walt Weiss, I don't want to say you ever get comfortable with this, but he has watched De La Rosa for years as a special assistant and now up close as a manager. And he knows that he's going to spend a good portion of the evening in the stretch. And most of the time, the traffic does not come around. But he's flirting with danger here with Lucroy at the plate, making his Arlington debut.
3 home runs for Jonathan in a Rangers uniform. It is kind of a high wire act at times with Jorge. He sits there, kind of teeters, will start to lean and then regain his balance.
And a quick strike on Lucroy. Texas has spent so much time out on the road.
I don't even know what their home whites look like.
Well, we're going to talk about it a lot tonight. They are in a great position because the vast majority of the games the rest of the way are going to be played at home, and they have the big 7-game lead. There's a curveball dropped in the lap of Lucroy, and it's 0-2.
Now what does he get? Does he get another curveball, split finger? The curveball and the split have been the 2 pitches, if anything, he's commanded. The fastball has gone awry even here in this first inning. Next pitch will be number 27.
You got to figure he's going to bury a splitter. Now they want fastball up. Could not get Lucroy to chase. Very disciplined hitter. You don't hit over 300 if you're not.
Very few guys can.
Yeah, second leading hitter in baseball among catchers. Here's the 1-2 curveball, and it is popped up in foul ground. And true to form, De La Rosa flirts with danger but works out of it. It is a 1-0 Rockies lead after 1 inning of play in Arlington.
Arlington, there's Carlos Gonzalez. Drew mentioned it, not in the lineup today. Got the chance to talk with Cargo. Still inflamed is his ankle. He's only played 1 inning since he left the game on Saturday hurt, and for him, it's about getting in and making a difference.
I don't want to go out there and play 1 game and then sit down for another 2. So I just want to get it over with. Just feel good enough to play every day and finish the season strong.
And the good news today is that inflammation is definitely dispersing in his ankle. When I talked with Keith Duggar, the head athletic trainer here for the Rockies. So for Cargo, again, just being patient with that. He said he doesn't think it's going to be a disabled list type situation. Walt Weiss saying today he could be available to pinch hit, but luckily they're playing in an American League ballpark, guys, where they probably won't have to utilize the bench as much as they would at home. So for Cargo, that could mean a little bit extra rest. And as you mentioned, Drew, get ready for Philadelphia. But I will say this. Walt Weiss made comment today about how proud he is of this offense because they've been able to produce without Carlos Gonzalez. You, of course, had Trevor Story go on the disabled list earlier this month. So it's finding a way to get the offensive numbers going. And again, he's really pleased with that.
Well, he should be. I mean, the Rockies have produced some solid offensive numbers, even in the absence of Cargo. It's tough without Story. Your lineup gets shorter without him in there as Parra swings through that. It's 2-2. And even tonight, they took advantage of a miscue early. Blackman scores on a LeMahieu hit. The bottom line is, I say this all the time, you say it in football, you have to win. You know, the majority of the facets of the game, if not all the facets of the game, to come away victorious. The Rockies, you know, for 7 innings, most of the last few days, they've won the offensive side, they've won the defensive side, they certainly have won the starting pitching element, but you know, the bullpen has let them down. There's no other way to look at it.
The first 17 games after the All-Star break, the bullpen's ERA was 2.88. But the last 8 games, the ERA has jumped up to 6.93, and guys were hitting almost 300 against him, 2.93. I mean, you had the bad game on Friday night, and then again on Monday. Well, those are tough pills to swallow.
And Jenny was talking about the offense. There's more pressure on the folks at the top of the lineup because they're paid to produce big numbers. That's why they hit at the top of the lineup. But there's pressure also down here in the lower third of the lineup to get something done to help out those folks who hit near the front.
Well, it goes back to being well-rounded, offensively, defensively, as a pitching staff, but offensively being well-rounded. You can't have a couple innings that are okay, and then you take an inning off where you're not getting any production at all.
It becomes a 6-inning game then.
Right, for the 3 innings that those guys are down there. But that's where you need the Christian Adamases. You need Nick to be able to go out there. And I mean, Nick's hitting 237 right now. That's not the type of hitter he is.
On 2 hops to Beltre. 2 outs. And that'll bring up Christian Adames, hitting 9th tonight. He's had 191, a home run, 9 driven in.
You guys are talking about those batting averages, but Huey, you know more than anyone, Nick Hundley actually has produced really timely offense, but same with Christian Adames. But that's the thing, is I think it's interesting when fans look at the batting averages or you look at the lineup construction, you don't feel like you have the balance at the bottom. But we've seen these guys become the hero in the last couple of weeks.
Well, and that's the key. That's why they've been winning. And that was the point, is you have these guys down there that have produced. They can do it. Nick had some huge base hits the other day, drive in a couple runs. And so that's where, when you go on one of those streaks where you're winning some games, you have contributions from everybody.
Outside on Adames. 2-1. Toward the hole, and that's a good looking play and a great pick at first. Elvis Andrus, known for his glove, just steals a hit from Christian Adames, and it turns into a 1-2-3 inning for Martin Perez, who gives Andrus a glove 5. Profar made a nice play at first. Rockies up 1-0, middle of 2. Colorado Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. By CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Jack in the Box. For a limited time, taste the all-new Jack's Brewhouse Bacon Burger at participating Jack in the Box restaurants. Globe Life Park, next to that little football stadium where the Cowboys play. Here's Jurickson Profar. And another curveball. De La Rosa has a good feel, Huey, for that breaking ball.
The release point on it. He knows where he wants to put it, how he wants to drop it in there. And just the feel coming out of his hand. Sure, he worked on a lot down in the bullpen prior to coming out to stand on the mound.
And we did miss a pitch. We apologize. It's 0-2 on Profar. And did he go? Guess not. 1-2. Profar's been a whole lot better at home than on the road. 361 at home. Just 217 out on the road. And 2 for his last 19. Two and two. Tell you, an unbelievable note on the 4-game winning streak for Texas. Opposing starters during their 4-game winning streak actually have a 1.69 ERA against him. Deep short, Adames not going to have a play. Couldn't get off the knees in time. Profar with a base hit.
Ranging far to his right was Christian. And then when he tries to pop up, he just stumbles over the feet. Couldn't get rid of the baseball. That's a helpless feeling. You know you have a chance if you can come up and make a strong throw to first. He couldn't get the throw off, and Profar with the base hit.
That'll bring up Elvis Andrus, hitting 296. But think about that. They have a 4-game winning streak, and the opposing starters have shut them down, and we've seen it twice. It's been a Rockies pitcher. Tyler Chatwood yesterday, if you missed it, 6 2/3. He gave up 2 runs, struck out 8. You know the walks have been an issue lately for Tyler. He didn't walk a soul, facing a great lineup at Coors Field. A marvelous outing by Chatwood. You couldn't throw the ball any better than Tyler Anderson did 48 hours ago.
Well, they won the 2 games in Denver by a combined 3 runs over the Rockies. So 2 runs yesterday, 1 the day before. They've had the 4 straight wins that they've had. Victories have gone to guys in the bullpen.
(2-0) line to center field. Charlie is there. 1 out, and that'll bring up Delino DeShields. Today was an emotional day in Texas for the Rangers. I don't know if you caught this. Prince Fielder, who was the face of durability in his career, announced today that he would have to end his career because of herniated discs in his neck. Originally placed on the DL July 20th. It's the 2nd time he has dealt with this neck situation. He never was able to play a ton of games for Texas after truly being an Iron Man in Milwaukee and Detroit. He went a 5-year period where he missed 1 game. He went a 7-year period where he missed like 5 games total.
Well, 4 times he played 162 games. That tells you the length and how durable he was.
(2-0) on Delino DeShields. He's been scuffling at the plate. That's a strike. I mean, Prince Fielder was a guy that hit for average. He hit for power.
He didn't want to be just a DH either. He wanted to play in the field.
And he took some good-natured ribbing because he said he was the largest vegetarian in the world. You know, Prince wasn't the tallest guy, about 5'11", and his listed weight was 275, but he moved around great. Tremendous teammate. Everybody raves about how good a teammate and leader Prince Fielder was. There's the push bunt and nobody to throw to. Well, Huey described this one from the perspective of the three guys that potentially would be involved.
This is where you have to have the communication before this bunt is laid down, where you have to say to Mark, if you're DJ, if they bunt it to this side, I'm gonna try to get it. But Mark committed to going after this baseball. But you have to know, as a first baseman, it's hard for the second baseman to get there with the runner at first because he's in double play depth. You know, if there's nobody on, he's cheated that way, so he can get there maybe, but not with a runner at first.
Well, smart play by Delino. DeShields recognizing that.
Well, and when you're not hitting, like you said, for Delino, I got to try to get on any way I can. One for his last 12. So he said, I got to lay a bunt down.
Shin-Soo Choo at the plate.
They get 1 for 13. Now he's 0 for 12 prior to that bunt.
Choo struck out on 3 pitches in the first inning. 1-0 Rockies. Rangers left the bases loaded in the first. Now they have runners at first and second, 1 out. This is slowly hit. Reynolds will get the force going to Adames, and they're 2 outs. Well, here is a section of the Prince Fielder press conference from earlier this afternoon here.
Even though I know I struggled personally this year, this is actually the most fun I've ever had and the best I ever felt mentally about baseball. You know, it's that's the only thing that really hurts about not being able to play, is that my brain was really good with my body now, you know. But my body just, you know, it just gave out before.
I was talking to Ryan Rayburn, who was teammates in Detroit for a year with Prince, and raved about Prince as a player and a teammate. Your teammates, Huey, I need not tell you, you played for a long, long time. You really, really respect the guys that go to the post every day, don't you?
Yes, you do.
And that's what Rayburn was saying. That's going to be a base hit that'll tie up the game as Ian Desmond comes through.
Well, you admire those guys because you understand how much it takes out of you to play every day. And I think that's what Ryan is saying about Prince and everybody else we talked to that have played with him. They knew that when they went to look at that lineup card, his name was going to be in there. He wasn't going to take some batting practice and say, I don't feel right. But with Milwaukee, 283, 230 home runs. Detroit, 55 home runs. Then was traded for Ian Kinsler, comes over to Texas. And then how about that bottom number, Drew? 319 career home runs, tied with his dad.
Isn't that remarkable? I got chills when I saw that.
And as far as I know, might be the only 12-year-old that could hit a home run at Old Tiger Stadium.
He would take batting practice. The stories are legendary now, and he hit him in the second deck as a 12-year-old at Old Tiger Stadium.
I saw his daddy take one out at Old Tiger Stadium.
Like out.
Like, yeah, not just over the wall out, over the roof out.
Yep. Prince's dad, Cecil, was a big man. And, you know, they finished from an RBI standpoint within 20 of each other. Prince ended up with 1,028 RBIs, and his dad 1,008 RBIs. Prince hit for a higher average. Prince had his 2 little boys, they're 12 and 10, up on the dais with him today. Here's Beltran taken outside. 2-1. And he's, from all indications, he's a great dad. I know in the times in the past where we've played a team that Prince is on, his kids are always running around the outfield,
and he's
around
playing
the clubhouse.
catch with them.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great dad, and he said that his kids, when he told them that Daddy's not going to be able to play anymore, they were playing a video game, And I said, that's okay, Dad. You want to play the video game with us? They were being kids, but
Right.
it was, it was great. And he said it made him feel a lot better about the finality of it. There's his, there's his little boys. And, it's hitting them right now, watching Dad be emotional. Inside on Beltran, and now it's 3-2. 1-1 game after the end. Desmond base hit his 67th RBI. Beltran singled to left his first time for his first career hit against De La Rosa. 1 for 10. Make a pitch here.
Already 51 pitches in the second inning on a hot, humid night here in Texas.
And that is cut off by Arenado, and from the seat of his pants he'll get Beltran. That saved a run, and it keeps the score tied at 1. What a marvelous play again by number 28. Nobody better.
Top of the third time now for our Coors Light Cold Hard Facts. Drew mentioned this a little bit earlier with Prince Fielder having to retire today, calling it quits. 4 guys now at the end of the season will be not part of baseball come 2017. A lot of power hitters too. Of course, Alex Rodriguez playing his final game on Friday. You have David Ortiz. This is his final season. Mark Teixeira announcing his retirement earlier in the week. They combined for 1,947 career home runs, and probably counting there for David Ortiz. It's the only season in which 4 players who hit at least that amount of career homers. The last time that happened, 2007. Those were some big names too, so some power definitely leaving the game come 2017.
Well, it's a little sad for a couple of those guys. We talk about Prince Fielder and the injury he had, but Big Papi, I'm not sure there's been a guy in his last year to say, you know what, this is it for me, and then go out and have a monster year like he's had. I think that is remarkable what he's been able to do. Smart play by Adrian Beltre, because that was a swinging bunt off the bat of Charlie. He saw the spin, the sideways spin on it. Well, that was nice of the catcher to turn his bat up. The sideways spin. Right now he says, no, I can't get it. I can only let it go foul and hope it does. By a couple inches, it rolled off. Saw 52 pitches from De La Rosa last inning to end the inning. Perez at 39. I mentioned the heat here tonight. Not quite what it was like in Baltimore last week, but it's still pretty hot and humid here. It does feel better. I know it says 98. The heat index was over 100 today when it was saying it was 98 or 99. In the old stadium, they used to have a thermometer in right field that would tell you the temperature. And I remember many times in the third, fourth, or fifth inning, 100, 101, 102. Good eye, Charlie. Now for Perez, it's a fastball, curveball, slider mix to go along with the changeup. And his changeup is a straight changeup. It will have the fade to it. It's not like the split change for Jorge, where one time it'll go down, the next time it'll go across. Another foul ball by Charlie. Yeah, I don't blame those fans. Everybody's fanning themselves. Something to keep the air moving. What wet paper towel works on the top of the head?
I had one of those on this morning.
Yes, you did.
Two and two on Blackman. It's one of those Charlie Blackman.
Typical at bats.
Yep. Vintage Blackman at bats. 9 pitches in.
I believe 5 foul balls in those 9.
One game. We're in the third. And another foul ball.
Might not think that's a whole lot of difference between what the league average is and what Charlie does but it is. It adds up over the course of a game, and what it does over the course of a week and then a month and a season. And you're getting all this from your leadoff guy. Oh, you want to catch the action. August 19th through the 21st when the Chicago Cubs come to Coors Field. Get your tickets today.
And another foul ball.
They're going to have to rub up a whole nother dozen for Charlie. Another dozen baseballs.
Blackman scored the Rockies' run in the first when he reached on an infield hit, moved to second on a throwing error on the same play by Perez, and then DJ brought him home with a line single to right center field. You gain a lot of confidence through this, knowing that there's nothing that Perez is going to throw.
Well, and that's why Jonathan went out there to talk to Martin. Just try to give him a little help, slow things down. But a hitter, you see that many pitches. Next pitch will be number 12 or 13. He's already seen 12. And you've seen everything. You've seen all 4 of his pitches, and you fouled them all off.
And a base hit for Blackmon. He wins the battle.
And that's the best way to finish it off. Well, most of the time, 13 is supposed to be an unlucky number. Well, it was lucky for Charlie, because this was the 13th pitch of this at bat. I think Perez said, forget it. Here's a fastball. See what you can do with it. Charlie says, I can hit it to left field for a base hit. My second one tonight.
And DJ takes a strike. Yeah, Charlie was hitting for about 30 minutes.
Yeah, he was, Jeff.
And another strike, 0-2. DJ 12 for 29 on the homestand. That's downstairs, 1-2. Daniel Murphy and Wilson Ramos has really gotten hot.
And again, for a catcher to stay in the top in batting average this late into the season.
We just saw those two Marlins. They can hit. Yelich and Prado. Perez misses away. It's 2-2. Perez 25 from Venezuela, making his career high 24th start of the year.
He's had 16 consecutive quality starts at home, which is first all-time in Ranger history. John Matlack, the Gambler, Kenny Rogers, Rick Honeycutt.
That's really an incredible number. Rockies had a franchise record 20 quality starts in July. DJ was behind 0-2 and he just earned a walk. So now the Rockies have 2 on, nobody out, and Nolan coming up.
Part of that walk for DJ, I know he fell behind 0-2. You give credit to Charlie Blackmon and the at bat he had, all the pitches that he saw. We're back in the second inning. We didn't have a chance to talk about this and the runs that it saved. But again, Nolan diving to his left and then spinning around and throwing from his right knee. Not only strong over to first, but Mark Reynolds just has to reach out because it hits him right in the chest area. I mean, look at that. Who does that besides Nolan?
And he does it on such a, I mean, again, we've run out of ways to describe his greatness defensively. 0-1. He's doing a radio show, and well, the host made mention of, he said, how about that play made with his bare hand? I said, yeah, see it every night. He goes, because he asked me, when was the last time you saw it? I said, probably the night before.
Last night. I thought you were going to say which one.
Well, I mean, you could say which one. We were remarking about that the other day, that there has to be at least a half a dozen to 10 plays that he's made with his bare hand this year that he would be the only third baseman in the game that would even attempt it and not use their glove.
Because most guys that get scared, they say, oh, I don't want to do that because if it goes off my hand, it might be an error. He doesn't think that way. He thinks aggressively.
He's behind 0-2. And now he's going to go to work fouling off pitches. How many pitches has Perez thrown in this inning? He doesn't have anybody out. He has 2 on. He's throwing like 400 pitches.
I think this is number 22 because he had 13 to Charlie. And he had 6 to DJ. Now a couple foul balls along with the 2 strikes.
Think about that. 22 pitches to 2 guys, and you didn't retire either one of them.
You haven't got him out.
Charlie smelled that coming. Odor coming in.
Our field microphone picked up. I don't know if it was EY or Stu, and you could hear it yelling back, back, back. That helps that base runner, because the second baseman, you know, sometimes he'll work so far to your blind spot that you can't see him out of the corner of your eye.
Runners are going, and it's fouled off by Nolan. Now, Texas pulled off a daring and successful double steal 2 days ago, and it helped doom the Rockies.
That was in that dreadful 9th inning. Yeah, Odor was on the front side of that one.
They had good speed on both ends, but they picked the perfect pitch right after a walk that Estevez issued. This is a ground ball, and that's going to turn into a double play. Not a thing that DJ LeMahieu could do.
Trying to do everything to avoid the tag. He was eventually called out because he was out of the baseline by the first base umpire, Carlos Torres. I mean, DJ can't beat the ball through. You see Torres calling him out because he was out of the baseline, and then Odor just goes over and steps on first for the double play.
Absolutely nothing he could do. If he goes in front, the ball's going to hit him, and he's going to be out. He has to allow the fielder room to field the baseball.
I said Odor, I meant Profar at first base.
There's nothing he could do. Inside on Reynolds. When they pulled that double steal off the other night, Huey, it was a perfect time because Estevez was probably more focused on, I got to throw a strike here. I just walked the guy. It was one look and go.
And they'd been timing him with those one looks and goes. And then the base hit easily scored the 2 runs.
Reynolds lines to short to end the inning. A promising inning turned south. Middle of 3, the Rockies won and the Rangers won. Bottom of the third. Check out the Rockies on the road, brought to you by Lazy Days RV. No television again tomorrow, and then we'll pick up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Philadelphia. The pregame show at 4:30 in the Mountain Time Zone each of those 2 days. And then Sunday, we're on the air at 11 in the morning back home. And then the Rockies will head back home after that series against the Phils at Citizens Bank. And the first pitch is in there, strike one on Adrian Beltre. Beltre walked against De La Rosa in the first. De La Rosa left the bases loaded in the first, dealt with traffic in the second, and Desmond a 2-out base hit to get the Rangers on the board. So it's 1-1. Beltre, Odor, and Lucroy. The last curveball at 69 miles an hour.
From about the helmet of Beltre down to the shin area.
It's funny, the evolution of a pitcher that has been smart enough and successful enough to hang around into his mid-30s. As De La Rosa was a power left-handed pitcher when he first arrived, and he was dancing between the bullpen and being a starter, dealing with his emotions frequently, and he settled in, as we all know, to be a 100-win starter. But now it's more finesse. I mean, tonight he's really working around 87, 88 with his fastball. That was at 89. He lost part of the bat he's going to need.
Yeah, you have to go get it. Well, I guess you don't have to go get another one, but I don't think he wants to hit with that one.
But it's splitter, curveball tonight.
I mean, how many pitchers can stay as power pitchers throughout their whole career? I mean, maybe the only guy was who pitched here, number 34, who has his number retired, Nolan Ryan. Well, that's what you get with the cup bat. You're still going to
saying goodbye to it.
Say, you've been a good bat.
He got a hanger and he hit it in the air to Charlie in center. He missed it, fortunately. 1 out, and that'll bring up Rougned Odor. Here's a tweet from Robert. Hey, Huey, look what I found.
Wow. That's an oldie.
That's my favorite card of yours.
Oh, I like that one a lot.
It's an action card.
Just got done turning a double play.
You didn't get to, you played in this stadium as a visitor when it opened up in, what was it, 94?
94.
You were hurt, right?
Yeah, I was hurt, so I never really got to play here as a Texas Ranger. Like I said, I was back at the old stadium with it was like a 10 box over there. It was hotter than all get out.
Well, like this is
well, I don't know,
somewhere up in Montana right now.
Not quite, but it did seem, because it was all metal. It was like sheet metal.
Well, one of the ideas for the plan for a new stadium, which would be right here in the parking lot, and then this would come down and they would make this a parking lot, that there would be a retractable roof.
They need it.
Well, tomorrow, in all seriousness, tomorrow is going to be brutal. This today was the 10th consecutive day in the DFW area, Dallas-Fort Worth area, that it's been 100 degrees. Now it says 97, and that's great news, because on the weather report in the clubhouse for the Rockies, it said first pitch it'll be 102 tonight, and it would cool off in the later innings to 99 degrees. Well, it's actually cooled off earlier to 97. Tomorrow at 1 in the afternoon, it's supposed to be, what did we hear, 104?
Yeah, somewhere along there. I was talking to Keith Duggar today during batting practice about not only tonight but tomorrow, what they're going to do, and they're going to do all the precautions, all the things that you hear about. Make sure you get plenty of fluids even before you start to play the game. The electrolytes, they'll make sure they monitor them when they come off the field, how they're doing, the ammonia towels. But he was really concerned with the pitcher and the catcher more than anything. Because obviously the pitcher, because of what he's doing out on the hill, but the catcher and all the gear and how it just gets locked in there, the heat does. And then tomorrow, I mean, playing during the straight up at 1 o'clock. The sun. How about the umpires too? The umpire behind the plate has all that gear on. Unfortunately, I've seen a few. Yeah, I've seen a few umpires go down or have to be taken out of the game because they get dizzy and they're not allowed to, or they can't finish the ball game.
That's Greg Gibson tonight. Tomorrow it's Carlos Torres in the mid-afternoon heat with all the gear on. 2-0 on Lucroy. 2 outs, nobody on, the 1-1 game. And 3-0. This kind of a pattern for De La Rosa. He's gotten a couple outs quickly and then has fallen behind hitters. Profar on deck. And that misses. So that is another walk. 3rd walk issued by De La Rosa. Well, the former owner of the Rangers is here, who also happens to be former President of the United States. President Bush is here with former First Lady Laura, and they are regular visitors. Of course, President Bush, like his dad, huge baseball fan.
Well, he was the owner of the Rangers when I was playing here. He sold his interest and moved on to politics.
He looks great, doesn't he? And it's
these are good seats. How
yeah,
do you get those,
I was
Drew?
wondering earlier. I said, who does he know? Profar with 2 outs. Well, John Daniels made some moves. We documented those at Coors Field in the first game between the Rockies and Rangers in the month of July. And there were a couple of guys that were not traded that some folks thought maybe, especially those that follow the Rangers closely. Profar being one, because now they have Odor up the middle, and for years they've had Elvis Andrus, and that's where he used to play, up the middle. And the other one was a guy that at one time was a huge prospect, and he's still a prospect, but it hasn't translated other than in moments here and there at the big league level, and that's Joey Gallo, who, by the way, is now tearing it up in Round Rock. And some people thought that they may use Gallo as a chip, or he may be asked for in deals. Well, John Daniels was able to hold on to Profar and Gallo. I'm sure he had an inkling that things may not turn out so well from a medical side with Prince Fielder. So going forward, I don't think Profar's your long-term answer at first, but Joey Gallo may be, along with Mitch Moreland.
And that's where you have to make sure you know and you do your due diligence. And you know John Daniels did, but to have the medical report on Prince, and as you said, Drew, maybe in the back of his mind said, well, I cannot afford to give him up in case Prince is not able to play. You know, maybe he was thinking at the time the rest of this year, and then we'll see after that. Well, come to find out, unfortunately, he can't play again ever. And so you still have Joey Gallo to fill in over there.
And there is the general manager of the Rangers. 3-2 pitch, and it's on the ground to Adames. Easy play for Christian, and that'll end the inning. So it was a walk and a man left. We move on to inning number 4. The Rockies and Rangers tied at a run apiece. Nothing since as they get ready to go to work in the fourth in a 1-1 game with Jeff Houston and Jenny Cavnar. I'm Drew Goodman, and Hugh, you just got a tweet.
Yeah, I did, because they were talking just a moment ago, and then we got a tweet about our lampshade right here. Yep, the lamp did die from heat stroke. It's that hot down here, folks. I don't know what happened. Maybe a foul ball, but then fortunately Renee, our stagehand right here to my left, she came over and fixed it.
It's all better.
It's all better.
David Dahl grounds out 4-3.
I said, why do we need a lamp here?
Now we know.
See, there you go, because we don't have any lights up above us, so they decided to throw a lamp right here on the desk.
I have to ask Renee where my lamp is.
This is for both of us.
Is that we have to share?
But I'm gonna just be careful with this. Don't mess with it. Got it right in the right position.
There are no lights in here.
No, there's not.
Other than the big television
Yeah,
lights.
but
And
those
if they
are
go
hot.
on, we'll
We
be
melt.
baking. Yes.
We'll be at a nice crisp 350 degrees.
You're not kidding. 0-1 on Rayburn. Did they think there were not going to be any night games where they could put some lights right here? I guess not.
I don't know if they thought about that.
You should have looked into the future, Huey, when you were playing here and said, hey, you've messed up with these television booths.
Hey, they gave us a lamp. What else do you need?
One on my side. Three and one. Rayburn struck out his first time, and that's inside. So a walk to Rayburn. That's the second walk allowed by Perez, who has walked a few this year. Eduardo Parra coming up. Parra struck out his first time. So the two native Venezuelans going at one another here. One out, one on for Colorado. Good crowd tonight at Globe Life. Rangers at home. They've been terrific. 34-17, third best mark in baseball.
Only Baltimore, who the Rockies took 2 out of 3 in Baltimore, and the Chicago Cubs, who they took 2 of 3 in Chicago back in April, have a higher win percentage at home.
And you go back to last year's All-Star break, they're 61-29 at home since then. Captured the American League West last year with a great second half. And they're poised to run away with things this year based on that schedule, because they've played not only a tough schedule in that they've been on the road more than any other team in baseball so far, but Jeff Bannister's club, the rest of the way, the winning percentage of the clubs he's facing is well below 500, and most of those games are going to be at home. And this is on 2 hops to short. There's 1, and there's 2. And that is the 30th, actually the 31st double play forced with Perez on the mound. That leads Major League Baseball, and it now ties a Texas Rangers record.
Well, we mentioned that Jeff Houston spent some time with the Rangers, and we wanted to flash way back. Our archives are so good, Huey, that back in 1990, we have a brilliant shot of you because you won Rookie of the Year award as voted on by the Dallas-Fort Worth Area's Baseball Writers Association. I cannot decide if that looks more like your son Kyle or more like your son Cody. So we took votes in the truck, and everyone came down to Kyle.
Yeah, that's Kyle.
How about that suit, though?
It's a good suit. I was actually wondering if you still had that in your closet.
You wore that in the Boston series, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Could Boston or New York, one of the two.
Yeah, got a lot of life out of that one.
That was a slick suit, though.
That was a nice suit.
That was a style. Come on.
Congratulations on that award.
Thank you.
This is a base hit up the middle for Elvis Andrus. Leadoff single for the shortstop for Texas. Cody and Kyle are both with you, your two boys, and that looks more like, there they are. See, Cody's on the left, and Kyle's got the beard going, just finished his hockey career at UConn. It looks more like Kyle. You look more like Kyle in that picture for me. Well, and I think now maybe Cody looks more like you.
Yeah, it's been fun to be able to bring him back here and just kind of go through the old neighborhood, see some houses, the house that we lived in, because it's been a while since they've been able to do that.
It wasn't one of those houses on the golf course we played this morning?
I wasn't making that. The minimum back then wasn't that much, or shouldn't say as much as it is today.
This is popped up to right field. Parra waiting. And DeShields is retired, and that'll bring up Shin-Soo Choo at the top of the order. Got a question from Chris for you, Huey. I was curious for Jeff if he's on the field today. Nolan Ryan and Robin Ventura were involved in the fight.
I was not on that. I was down on a rehab at that point. So no, I wasn't. That would have been fun. That was one of those moments in baseball that you don't forget. Oh, maybe Robin would like to forget it.
It didn't work out so well for Ventura. This is pulled foul. You were on the field. This was a more important moment that you were on the field for.
Yeah, seventh no-hitter. Striking out Robbie Alomar to end the ball game. Oh, wait for it right there. There in the background. That was a game, real quick, that Steve Buechele, who's a bench coach for the Rangers, he was playing third base at the time, and he and I walked off the field, or running off the field at the second inning, and we both looked at each other and said, it's over. They're not going to get a hit tonight. He was that dominating.
Well, he had some experience with that. You were playing behind him in his sixth no-hitter.
Sixth no-hitter out in Oakland, and his 300th win. So as my brother-in-law called me one time, the Forrest Gump of baseball.
You were an accidental tourist to a lot of great moments, right? Ripken's
21-31 game. Yeah, I just showed up.
That's a base hit the other way against the shift for Shin-Soo Choo, and now they're 2 on again. The only inning of the 4 that the Rangers haven't had at least 2 base runners was the 3rd inning when they had just 1. And you're getting that dangerous part of the lineup. Their whole lineup's dangerous, but Ian Desmond in the 2 spot. He drove in the Rangers run in the 2nd with a 2-out single to left.
Ian hit leadoff yesterday for the first time this year.
Runners going, and that goes to the backstop. And I don't think, even if that pitch was catchable, that Nick Hundley was going to have a chance. Remember, De La Rosa's had issues holding guys on. Then you get a runner at second base, and for a lefty it becomes really difficult. He did not slide step, and they were not going to get Andrus or Chu, the trail runner. 15 stolen base for Andrus, and Chu gets a bag obviously also.
And he had also just done the inside move. So a base stealer says, well, he did it once, he's not going to do it twice. I'm going to try to time this to take off, and that's what Elvis did.
They've been impressive using their speed in this series.
It's 51 stolen bases as a ball club.
And Huey, it's not something you generally associate with a power-hitting American League club, is it?
No, you think, well, they're just going to wait back. They're going to play station-to-station baseball.
2-1 on Desmond with the infield in a 1-1 game in the bottom of the fourth. Three and one. And now you're in an unfavorable count, and you can't glance at the on-deck circle and exact any comfort when you look there, because there's Carlos Beltran.
And that has been the black hole for the Texas Rangers this year, that third spot in the lineup. But now they can fill it with somebody like Carlos and his pedigree.
Desmond hits the ball to deep center field. Blackman going back. He's going to make the catch, and this throw will go toward third, and Chu will get there. A sac fly for Desmond. He's driven in both runs. It's 2-1 Texas. He's got 68 RBIs.
Now that stolen base is even bigger. I said a moment ago that they had 51 stolen bases. They actually have 67 stolen bases. I was looking at the wrong team. The Rockies have 50 on their side. The Rangers 67 on the year.
That's how stacked this lineup is. So we're talking about Beltran up there, and first base is open, but you can't pass on him because you got Beltre behind him.
Well, it's just like when you have Nolan and Cargo hitting back-to-back. You can't pass on one to get to the other.
Well, that's one of the things that makes having a power-hitting, average-producing switch hitter in your lineup, and you never can match up. This ball's grabbed by DJ, and it'll pop up and throw out Beltran. That ends the inning, but all that traffic, hard to deal with even for Jorge De La Rosa as he gives up a run, and it's 2-1 Texas going to the fifth. Nick Hundley to lead it off. On Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. 2-1 Texas. Nolan Ryan. Images of Ryan are everywhere. Street outside the ballpark is named after the all-time great right-hander. So the Rockies will have 8, 9, and 1 in their half of the 5th inning, down 2-1 in Texas. Trying to figure out some way to get a victory after the gut-wrenching homestand, particularly the latter half. It started out great, 2 victories against the Dodgers, and then the loss on Friday to Miami, and it looked like they were going to be shaking hands up 3-1. And we were talking about the Heat, and I don't know why, but Greg Gibson has gone off for a moment. That's why we're kind of in a delay. Looks like Greg's all right.
Oh, well, he straightens things out at home plate. I'll let you know that you can get on-demand access to the best rooftop bar in Denver with the Rockies Rooftop Fan Pass. You choose the games and can redeem from your phone.
.96 degrees still. Local time is closing in on 8:45, and it's 96 degrees. Hundley grounded to third his first time up. He takes ball 1. And that's in there. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's been on the DL twice this year. And this is another ground ball gobbled up by Andrus. That'll bring up Adames. He grounded to Andrus as well, his first time. Go back to that homestand again, Huey. Realize the Rockies have lost 3 of their last 5 at home when their pitcher gave them a quality start. I know there are some, and our old dear friend and partner George Frazier was one who was not big on quality start, and I like the quality start stat for a couple of reasons. I want to get your take on it, especially when you factor it in at Coors Field, because as you all know, a quality start, 3 runs in 6 innings, equates to a 4.50 ERA, and nobody's buying big trophies for you if you have a 4.5 ERA. But if you give up 3 runs in 6 innings, especially at Coors Field, your team's generally in the game. And the same thing goes for the road. And here's the evidence: the Rockies this year are 40-21 when they receive a quality start. Adames gone, 2 outs, and therefore it tells you get a quality start, you're winning 2/3 of the time. And it's even better for Texas. They don't have as many quality starts. They're 35-14 and even better win percentage. What's your take on it?
Well, I think there's value in a quality start stat, and I get where George is coming from, because a 4.50 ERA, but you have to look at it maybe for, in a decade, maybe when he was pitching, the 4.50 wasn't a good ERA. But in today's game, there's a little bit more play in it. The Rockies have 23 quality starts at home. Last year they had 24 total at home, so there's still plenty of home games left. So there's value to be able to gauge and to measure where you were at one point compared to another point. And that, for me, is where I glean the value of a quality start. The other thing, real quick,
sure,
is your bullpen. If you're asking them to get 9 outs or sometimes 6 outs, is much different than asking them to get 10 to 12 outs.
And that has factors factors in the day after, 2 days later, and that's why I think it is a very valuable stat.
And it also has factors in if you're asking them to eat up all these innings in April and May. It's not that big a deal, but it adds up. It's like a tire that you continually go on that tire, it's going to wear some tread off.
Charlie fouls it off. You saw Tyler Chatwood. He pitched a brilliant game yesterday. It was a quality start, and we know what happened at the end. But think about, from a position player standpoint, you can really relate to that. When you know that every guy who's on the bottom of the card, every time you go to the clubhouse, see you're in the starting lineup, that name at the bottom of the card, you say, hey, we're gonna get a good start today. We're gonna be in this baseball game.
We've got a chance even before you start to play the game.
Charlie doing his thing. He rips a single. Charlie is now 3 for 3.
So he has 3 of the 4 hits for the Rockies. And for Perez, he had the 4th lowest in the major leagues batting average against left on left at 158. But Charlie has 3 of those hits today. Righties were hitting over 300 against Perez. And the guy coming to the plate, the right-hander, has the other hit tonight.
And that's where we were talking about balance in their lineup earlier. The Rockies have had 6 guys reach either with a hit or a walk. And 5 of those times are Charlie Blackmon or DJ LeMahieu. Ryan Rayburn in the 4th inning. Ryan's batting 6th, reached on a walk. That's it. A run on 4 hits, 2 runs on 6 hits for the Rangers. DJ takes a big hat. Oh, and 2. You know, we didn't televise yesterday, and we get this question a lot. The schedules were made up a long time ago. We televise folks 150 out of 162. The 12 we don't do are day games midweek for obvious reasons. Yesterday, Walt, if you missed it, did announce that at the back end of the bullpen, he is going to give Carlos Estevez a breather. Said he's still going to get important innings. But Adam Ottavino is on a great roll and has closed in the past and clearly is suited for that role. Ottavino is now the closer. I think it's important for Estevez's growth that you don't do exactly what Walt's doing and don't, you know, abandon him at all and say, okay, you know, now you failed a couple of times, even though he was on a great run prior to that, and you say, okay, you're going to pitch in mop-up duty. This ball's lined to right field pretty deep, but Chu's going to get back and make the catch.
You can't do it because Adam can't throw every day coming off of Tommy John surgery. So you're still going to need that young man to be able to close a few games. Need Jorge to have a shutdown inning this coming.
head to the bottom of the 5th. Drew was just mentioning Adam Ottavino now in the closer's role, took over for Carlos Estevez. But according to Adam Ottavino, it's really more about the team and the bullpen coming together and fighting for each other no matter the title.
We win as a team, we lose as a team, especially down there. We're like a little unit, so, you know, it's hard. I mean, those are my brothers. I don't want to see anybody struggle, you know, or anything, or little things go right, little things go wrong every time anybody pitches. But, you know, it just seems like we've had a couple of tough games in the last week or so, and they hurt because, you know, we're trying to be in it. So, but there's still a lot of season left, and I mean, we just got to get going right now. We got to make hay now.
And really for Walt Weiss, he was saying today, I really don't like to tab anyone as the closer. He's looking more at the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning collectively. So really, you guys are mentioning about it's hard to put Carlos Estevez in a mop-up situation. It's really hard because you're going to have guys go in there the 7th, 8th, and 9th. 7th, 8th, the hold games for someone to come and close in the 9th. But you have guys with experience on this team, including Adam Ottavino. Those 4 games he was able to save last year before getting Tommy John surgery. Jake McGee, he's had his ups and downs this year, but he does have 41 career saves under his belt. So they're going to have to use McGee. They're going to have to use Estevez in those situations. And in talking, as Adrian Beltre grounds out to Nolan, and talking to Carlos Estevez, I spent about 5 or 6 minutes with him today, and he told me he's really going to work hard on his fastball command. That's all that his focus is right now. And he said he's had a lot of encouragement from his teammates. It's hard not to get down on yourself, but that's part of the growth process when you're in your young 20s and you're given the most important position in the bullpen, especially with this team winning right now and playing meaningful games. And then he reminded me, guys, with a smile, he said, I think Mariano Rivera blew a few games in his career. I know I'm going to be okay. And that's the maturity and the confidence we've seen with him now, but it's what he does with that when he's given the opportunity again in possibly one of those 7th or 8th inning roles. We'll see how it plays out.
Well, he has a great understanding of how difficult that role is, talking about Estevez, and he has guys that he can lean on. You know, Ottavino has been in the big leagues for a while now. He's battled back, as we all know, from Tommy John. That man, Boone Logan, has been around for a long time. That was a foul ball. And Boone was telling us yesterday that he looks, it's funny how the evolution of the game, you know, Boone was that young guy coming up with the White Sox flamethrower, and he was still, you know, trying to figure it out. Then he ends up in New York and, you know, had some real good years with the Yankees around guys like Rivera and Derek Jeter and some great leaders. And he said, I look at these guys as my kids. And what Otto said to Jenny is absolutely, Huey, you know this, right on. They are a real close-knit group because they're out there on an island literally late in the game, but also, you know, they spend all their time together. They're detached from the dugout. They're not in the dugout. Whatever stories are being told in the dugout, they are oblivious to. They're in their own world out there, and then the focus turns to them in the 7th, 8th, and 9th typically.
It's kind of like whatever happens in the bullpen stays in the bullpen. And I think that's the way those guys look at it, because they know what it's like. They know the challenges, because you're expected every night when you come into a ball game to do something to not allow the other team to score. So Otto's right that they have each other's back out there, and nobody likes to see anybody fail on a baseball team. But those guys know what the pressure's like when they step on the hill, because all eyes are upon them.
Odor hits a pop-up to short. Adames is going to grab this. Jenny, you have more?
Yeah, guys, you know what else is really neat? Adam Ottavino told me last year he wanted that closer role so bad. That's all he wanted to be. But he said he's really been able to think it over. And this year for him, it's all about wins. So he doesn't even necessarily want that title of closer. He said, I want to be flexible. And that's what he said might be his best asset in the bullpen with all that experience he has now. He said, I'm going to sit there and encourage Carlos Estevez because we need him down the stretch if we're going to be there. We need that guy that can throw 100 and close out games. So it's really neat. Even though he's in that role, he's encouraging the guy that he wants to be there.
I'm glad he said that to you too, Jenny, because it is so important to not get hung up sometimes on roles out in the bullpen, because I've been on teams and I've heard managers say, well, you know, this guy only likes to pitch in the 6th inning, or he only wants to pitch in the 8th or the 9th, or when you're up, or when you're, you know, down by 2 runs. So pretty soon a manager needs a roadmap of who he can pitch, instead of saying, when that phone rings, I need you to come in, and maybe the game is on the lines in the 7th inning. I need you in the 7th inning. And we had a manager just recently.
Dave Roberts told
No,
us.
that's right. Dave Roberts told us that.
Yeah, he said.
Other than Kenley Jansen.
That's exactly what he said. He said when that phone rings, he said everybody better be ready. The only guy that if the phone rings before the 9th doesn't have to have his interest piqued is Kenley Jansen. He's going to pitch the 9th inning. Everybody else, it may change on a night-to-night basis.
Depending on the matchup.
And with 97 pitches in, you see Lyles, you see Estevez just starting to get ready. This ball is blitzed to deep center field by Lucroy, and it is gone. Jonathan Lucroy in his first ball game at home as a member of the Texas Rangers hits his 4th American League home run. 3-1. It's early, Huey, but we may look back as collective observers of baseball in October and say, you know who the biggest acquisition was in late July?
Might be this guy for the Texas Rangers.
Yep.
And finally get to Dela after falling behind some hitters. Got one up to Lucroy, and he made him pay.
That's his 14th home run.
And maybe if they match up against Cleveland, who tried to get him and he vetoed the trade, then maybe something, you know, we'll look at that too, where he vetoed it, said, I don't want to go there, I want to come to Texas, after he was asked if he would approve a trade to Texas.
Profar 0-2. And I understand fully why he did that when he explained it. And we have 2 strikes and 2 outs. We may not get to it here, but we'll show you specifically what Lucroy said as to why he turned down the deal that would have sent him to Cleveland. He had 8 teams in his contract that he could veto a trade to, and that was one of them. We have a foul ball, so we'll go to it right now. Chris Antonetti, the Indians general manager, told Lucroy's agent the Indians couldn't make any promises on me catching next season. They have Yan Gomes.
Younger.
And he's younger, and they pay him more money. Gomes said, I'm pretty inexpensive for 2017. I don't blame them. I've been mostly at first base and a designated hitter, which hurts his value going forward as a catcher to get, you know, another lucrative deal. And so it made sense as to why he turned that down. It wasn't a personal thing. I don't want to go to Cleveland. I want nothing to do with the Indians. It was a business decision. And from Lucroy's perspective, I would agree it was the right one. The Rangers love it, certainly. 3-1 Texas. Always good to be in the Lone Star State. We'll do our little two-step in later on. You line dance, Huey?
No.
Went to school in Wyoming?
No.
No?
No country swing. No line dancing, though.
I'm a tremendous line dancer. Am I telling the truth or lying?
By my laugh, what do you think?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
3, 4, and 5 for the Rockies. Here's Arenado with the Rockies down 3-1. The Rockies got a run in the first, nothing since. They've been limited to 4 hits by Martin Perez, the 25-year-old from Venezuela. And Perez so far, Huey, true to form. He's pitched a very good game here at home. That huge contrast is home numbers versus road numbers.
2.54 ERA at home. That's the second best mark as far as home ERA goes in the American League. Only Houston's Lance McCullers has a lower one, and his is 2.40.
There's Andrew Barnett throwing. .93 pitches for Perez as he worked here in the 6th. And that's a high fly ball to shallow center. Desmond coming on, and Desmond makes the catch. Mark Reynolds coming up. Here's our Quicken Loans Rocket Arms. Well, Huey said Lance McCullers of Houston has a 2.40 home ERA. Then it's Perez, Graveman of Oakland, Marco Estrada pitching at Rogers Center, and Jose Quintana. And over in the other dugout, the Rockies dugout, they have the guy with the lowest ERA out on the road in baseball, and Tyler Chatwood with a 1.30. Here's Chatty. He'll pitch in Philadelphia on Sunday.
Well, yesterday, Chatwood 0 walks. 3rd time this season he had a goose egg.
I'll tell you, that was such an impressive performance, because Huey, this Texas lineup is no joke. It's at Coors Field, and it's coming off a period of time for Chatwood where we understand he's been struggling with the fastball command. He'd walked a bunch of guys, and it was not only he didn't walk anybody, 8 strikeouts against this lineup. Very impressive outing, and unfortunately it didn't result in a victory.
And I think at times here, just looking at again at Chatty.
That's a fair ball. Beltre throws out Reynolds. 2 gone.
Real quick final thought on Chatwood and his performance yesterday. I think at times we forget about he also missed 2 years because of Tommy John surgery. Oh, I mean, just what he's been able to accomplish this year, coming back out, the numbers you mentioned out on the road. But he's such a competitor. And I think that is one thing when I think of Tyler, I always think about him standing out on the mound, and you just see that look in his eye.
Well, he's got a lot of bulldog in him, there's no doubt. Here's Dahl. He's 0 for 2. David takes ball 1. That's fouled off. 15-game hitting streak for David Dahl to begin his career. He has 3 home runs, 2 triples, and a double. He had a triple yesterday. Asked David today, I said, all right, Birmingham, where he's from, or Arlington, which is hotter, you think, right now? And he said, man, it is hot here.
He just kind of gave you that look like, I don't know which one's hotter, but it's hot.
Well, the Rockies will send a Texan to the hill tomorrow. Chad Bettis. Foul tip that keeps the AB alive. Chad will have a ton of folks here over from Lubbock.
We had a shot a moment ago at Trevor Story. It was a bunch of his friends and family here during batting practice today. Oh, he's disappointed he couldn't play in front of his hometown.
There'll be more opportunities, but boy, do they miss him. That's on the ground to short. Safe. He just flat beat it.
Got down the line. Jeff Bannister's going to look. This ball come up. Oh yeah, it hopped up right at the last moment.
He did beat it. And Bannister's coming out, not for a review. He's coming out to get Perez.
Foot on the bag. Ball's not to the glove yet on the Subaru Supermo. Perez.
Now, do they score it a hit?
Because of.
Nope, they're going to call. They just announced they're going to say it's an E6 because of the little bobble by Andrus. And you understand, because it is looked upon as a routine ground ball. Perez saluting somebody in the stands. So Dahl reaches with 2 outs. Perez gets a standing ovation walking off in the 6th. All of our Cap Cable viewers from Pagosa Springs, Colorado. It's a beautiful town. Thank you for watching the Rockies on Root Sports. Be sure to tell us where you're watching from this evening on Twitter at @RootSports_RM. You ever been to Pagosa Springs, Huey?
Yes, I have.
Great, great town. Absolutely gorgeous this time of year. Ryan Rayburn with 2 outs, and Dahl at first will face Anthony Barnett. Tony Barnett has worked 16 straight scoreless innings. Fastball, cutter, cutter, fastball. That's what you're going to see a lot of.
Yeah, that streak is the 2nd longest in the major leagues. 2nd longest with that 16. Now you need to break that up. You have to take advantage of another error tonight by the Rangers. They have 3 on the evening.
Rockies have just 4 hits. 2-0. You got a feel for that tool we tell you about with Dahl, the speed tool. I mean, that's a routine play. It's a minor little bobble, and Dahl beat the throw. And that ball was hit pretty hard to short.
Right on the nose, and Andrus didn't have to move much for it. His 10th error of the season. 70 errors as a ball club for Texas. Dahl with 2 strikes. Elvis 2 steps to his right. He just gets eaten up by that ball. Dahl making sure that he's helping Carlos Torres out with the call at first base, letting him know I was safe.
I'm guessing he was 4 flat up the line, maybe maybe even a smidgen under that, Huey.
Well, if he's under 4 flat down the line, the Major League average for a left-handed hitter getting down the line, you know, some people will say 4.1, others will say 4.15. Right-handers is more like 4.2. So anything below for a left-hander 4.1 in my book is above Major League average, or that 50 grade that we give players.
And that is a pitch out of the zone, so Rayburn walks. Now the Rockies with 2 outs have 2 on for Parra. You see the zone's been pretty tight both ways for Greg Gibson tonight.
There was a couple, at least one in that Subaru strike zone that was called a ball.
UC Health is tracking the number of walks and the distance the Rockies are in throughout the season. Start tracking your own steps today to get fit. So far this year, the Rockies have walked 363 times now. Getting closer to 7 miles soon. Get out there and exercise. UC Health is behind you. Parra, a strikeout, and he grounded into a 6-4-3. And a rear off-speed pitch, and it's 0-1.
That was his curveball for Barnett.
Lefties are hitting 300 against Barnett. Righties 198. So a distinct advantage for Parra. Parra's in that hole 0-2.
We saw motion just a second ago with his hands. He's telling himself, stay through the middle of the field. That last pitch he pulled off badly. Sometimes it's easier to say than it is to do. The right shoulder opens up too soon, and that's why he fouled this ball off on the pull side. He's mad at himself.
And that's on the ground to first. Profar's got it to Barnett, and that ends the inning. Rockies had 2 men aboard with 2 outs, couldn't do anything with it. They continue to trail 3-1.
In Arlington, he grew up in Irving, Texas, just down the road. 3-1, Texas leads as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Got the chance to catch up with Trevor earlier today. Yes, he is so disappointed he can't play at the ballpark that he grew up coming to. But sitting on the sidelines, there's still so much for him to learn.
mean, I can't help on the field right now, which is, you know, the toughest part for me. You know, I would love more than anything to be out there grinding, but, you know, the thing that I'm trying to do is get better every day still. You know, and obviously the best way I can do that is by being a better teammate and helping this team get better. So, yeah, like you said, watching the game, really absorbing it and, you know, getting a feel for it. And, you know, that's just what I'm trying to do day in and day out.
And true to baseball rat form, he is being a cheerleader, checking out his own teammates, trying to help them, but he's also watching guys on the other team. He said specifically Adrian Beltre and Carlos Beltran in this series, guys he grew up watching and swings that he admires, seeing if he can't pick up little nuances or something to add to his craft. So you can tell, guys, that Trevor and that magical start he had to his rookie year, even though it's come to an end, he's really looking forward to 2017, but even more importantly, he said he's looking forward to this team, hopefully pushing for a wild card berth and trying to make it to the postseason. And even though he'll have zero stats to help, he's going to help in every way possible on the other side. And Huey, I don't know if you went through that situation or not. That's probably so tough, but you probably do learn a lot by sitting back and observing.
Yeah, it's one of those lessons that you don't want to have to learn, but sometimes you're forced to learn. And I think Trevor is in that situation. He doesn't want to be there. He wants to be out playing, doing the things that he was doing. But if you take a step back and use it as a learning opportunity and watch other players, you can glean so much from it. And I think that's where Trevor will benefit when he has to spring training next year.
1-2, Gonzalez-Germain in the ball game for De La Rosa. Elvis Andrus takes that pitch 2-2. It's very interesting that you're having this discussion. I had this very conversation about Story with Ian Desmond 2 days ago in Denver, and he was looking forward to watching Story. I mean, like every player, they've seen his highlights from afar. This ball's in the air to left field. Look out. And Adames makes the catch before Dahl got there, and fortunately no collision. And Ian Desmond said that not only is it not the worst thing in the world, it will in the long term be very beneficial for Trevor Story that he's watching every day. I mean, don't misinterpret it. It's not saying, yeah, this is great that he's not playing right now. I mean, obviously Desmond doesn't play for the Rockies. It's not. It hurts the Rockies. They're missing their everyday shortstop who's a plus defender and a middle of the order bat. It, without question, hurts them greatly. But it will add to this young man's arsenal and his intellect from a baseball standpoint, and even subtle things he may learn about pitchers through observation right now. So this is not all lost time. And I thought it was a fascinating point made, obviously, by you. You played for a long time, but Ian Desmond was in the middle of his career.
And who's been in that situation before where you have to take something that's a negative and turn it into a positive. I'm a big believer in that. And so for Trevor, he is taking this unfortunate setback and saying, I'm not going to feel sorry for myself. It happened. I want to get on the road to recovery, but I want to learn something while I'm watching all these games.
Two and one, Germain working on Delino DeShields. Some of the numbers this year for Germain.
And they're going to ask him to pick up a couple innings tonight. And he's done that 10 times this year. He's worked more than an inning of relief. He's tied for the team lead with 39, now make it 40 innings of relief work.
Just off the plate, ball 4. That was Mitch Moreland. Let me correct that. It was Moreland pinch hitting for the Shields.
Bark at the Park, presented by Avoderm and Nylabone, is Tuesday, August 16th. The event includes a pregame parade on the field with your dog, plus goodies. Special tickets in the dog zone are required, must be pre-purchased.
One out, Moreland at first, and Shin-Soo Choo is at the plate. 3 runs, 7 hits, 3 errors for Texas. The Rockies are on just 4 hits. They haven't made an error, but down by a couple of runs, starting to get late, bottom of the 6th inning. Ball and a strike. Choo tonight is 1 for 3. And that's inside, 3-1.
You inside or outside, and then the last one inside on the Subaru strike zone to Choo.
Three and 2. Texas has been good against the National League this year. They've been good against everybody. 9 and 4 against the National League. Final 2 interleague games for the Rockies this year. They're 8 and 10. Runner going, throw to second, and that was ball 4 anyhow. Or was that a strikeout? They did call him out at the plate.
Well, he should have.
Moreland is safe at second. So with 2 outs now, he swipes second, but Choo is called out.
The pitch was called a strike.
A delayed call and hauled by Gibson.
And it's hard for Nick because he's got to make sure he doesn't jump up too soon to block the vision of Gibson, the home plate umpire. So he has to stay nice and low. And then when he comes up, it's a later call. Because you see, he's already released the ball before the umpire is making the out sign. Now, you will hear the umpire, but it is still such a split-second decision for a catcher. It's really hard to make that accurate throw down to second base.
So here's the aforementioned Desmond. He's driven in 2 of the 3 runs tonight with a single and a sac fly. Bannister putting Moreland, a pedestrian runner, in motion on the 3-2 pitch. He gets the benefit of the stolen base and benefit of a guy in scoring position in a 2-run game. The Rockies' upcoming home schedule is brought to you by Remax. So when the Rockies return on Sunday night from Philadelphia, they'll prepare for the Nationals on Monday. It's a 3-game set. And then on the weekend, the Cubs will be in town. way outside. 2-1. Jermain's had his way career-wise against Ian Desmond. Desmond from Sarasota, Florida. He's going to take a big hat. Always has.
We were talking about his brother-in-law, Josh Renicky, today.
Josh is back in the minor leagues. Josh pitched for the Rockies and has been with a number of teams. He's dropped down now, Huey, and he's trying to kind of reinvent himself almost as a righty specialist.
Well, those submarine type pitches really get down low and did make it tough on the right-handed hitters.
Angels organization right now. And that misses. 3-2. Hadn't been in the big leagues since 2013 with Minnesota. Prior 2 years he was with the Rockies. Got into 82 ball games with the Rockies, 2011, 2012.
Well, still chasing the dream, even though it's been almost 3 years hadn't been in the big leagues.
And a walk to Desmond, and now that'll bring up the switch hitting veteran Carlos Beltran. Two walks. Well, here's where Beltran ranks among all-time switch hitters. In hits, 2572, that's 10. Home runs, 4th. Ribbies, 3rd. Doubles, 4th, 527, and he scored 1,500 runs on the nose. Think of the great switch hitters of all time. Your mind gravitates toward Mickey Mantle naturally. A guy you know well, Eddie Murray, guy you played with.
Yeah.
Guy we saw.
Chili Davis.
Chili Davis we saw. I was going to say he kind of gets lost a lot of times. Chili hit over 300 home runs. We saw Chili as a hitting instructor.
Boston.
With the Red Sox. Saw him earlier this year. Chipper Jones. We saw him. He was at the ballpark as a fan when we were in Atlanta. Well, this guy is in that conversation with that group. 2 balls and a strike. He honestly, he falls under the description of one of those guys when he's 75 be able to roll out of bed and give you a good at bat.
From which side of the plate are you talking?
Both? Does not matter.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, okay, we'll throw a right-handed BP guy out you. I'll hit left-handed. Oh, you want a lefty? I'll hit righty.
Just a great feel for hitting. Jermain's got to get him. The Rockies are down 2 runs already. 2-2. And it's lined to right at Parra. That'll end the inning. 2 men left aboard. We go to the 7th inning. Get late in Arlington. 3-1 Rangers. Thank you very much. In the top of the 7th inning, it's 8-9-1 for the Rockies. Nick Hundley. And as Tony Barnett continues on, a couple changes defensively to tell you about, and that slider's fouled off. Delino DeShields was pinch hit for by Mitch Moreland. Moreland stays in at first, and Jurickson Profar goes to left field.
Well, they went the experienced guy in Moreland at first base late in the ball game with the lead.
I have a positive number and a negative number for you. We're in that sticky point of the game, the last 3 innings, which have not treated the Rockies kindly, as we all know, especially lately, but really all year. The Rockies, here's the positive. They have scored 181 runs this year from the 7th inning and beyond, which is tied for the 2nd most in baseball with the Cubs. The Cardinals have scored the most. The problem lies in the fact that the Rockies have given up the 3rd most runs in baseball from the 7th inning forward, or beyond, if you will. 194. 13 more than they've scored. And Hundley is gone. If you're wondering who is higher on that list in terms of giving up runs late in games, Arizona and their bullpen has just been miserable. And Cincinnati, they've had all kinds of pitching issues.
That's happened those 2 games in Denver yesterday for the Rangers. That was their 35th comeback win this year, which is the most in the major leagues. 35 times they've come back and won a game. '21 of those times they've come back when trailing by multiple runs.
The Rockies, when they trail after 7, have just 2 wins this year. That goes back to a continuing theme that we've talked about over the last 6-8 weeks. The Rockies, both of those wins have been, you know, more recent. And you hope, there's a lot of baseball left. You hope it changes, and dramatically so, in the final third of the season for Colorado, because they're getting such good starting pitching.
That's one thing you can always hang your hat on, is you get that starting pitching, you get the runs in the bullpen, can figure it out, get their job done. That's when you can make up some ground. Carlos Estevez up in the Rockies bullpen, getting loose.
And the Rockies this year have lost 13 games when one of their pitchers has suffered a blown save. That's the most in baseball. 13 losses after a blown save, because you can have a blown save, folks, in the 8th inning. It doesn't make, I don't like how you can't get a save in the 8th inning or the 7th inning, but you can get a hold. It should be a blown hold.
Blown hold.
We've had that discussion in the past, but the point being, you know, you can have relinquished the lead in the 7th or the 8th. That doesn't mean that you can't come back and still win the game, but 13 times it's happened, and the Rockies have not come back and been victorious. And you wonder when that trend turns the other way.
It's kind of semantics, whether it's blown hold or blown save. They're both bad.
Yep. 3-2 with 1 out on Adames. Ground ball to short and a strikeout for Christian. Rockies' run came in the 1st inning. 2 batters in. On the ground to second. 2 outs. Infield hit by Blackman, moved to second on a throwing error by the pitcher Perez, and then a couple pitches later LeMahieu singled him in. That's it. Who Wants Tacos? Fans follow at @RootSports_RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special when the Rockies score 7 or more runs. Charlie Blackmon's night has been outstanding. His season again has been outstanding. He's 3 for 3. But you know, you come up, you want to set the table, Huey. The problem is right now, and the last couple of times he's come up, it's been with 2 outs.
And nobody to be able to drive in for Charlie.
2 outs and nobody on.
just think the game plan with which Charlie tries to attack a pitcher is so much fun to watch, because pitchers like to attack hitters just like hitters like to attack pitchers. But Charlie's game plan, it just seems like whatever the pitcher is going to give him that night, that's what he's going to take. You know, some guys won't deviate. They'll say, well, if he's going to pitch me away, I'm going to just try to pull it and pull it in the right center field gap. Well, Charlie said, no, if he pitch me away, I'll just soft single him to left or maybe gap him in the left center field gap. Jeff's about right. Of the 104 pitches Perez threw, did seem like 70 were to Charlie. At least in that one at bat there was.
Well, that was a sequence in the third inning where Blackman saw 11 or 12 pitches, and then DJ did the same thing. He was 22 pitches in. He faced two guys.
Table setters.
Two and two on Blackman. Rockies down 3-1. 2 outs in the 7th. Nobody on. And they're going to get him this time. Moreland with the stop at first base. 3-1. 1-2-3. 7th inning for Barnett. Here's our first bank game recap. Rockies got the first run, but nothing much since then. The two guys at the top have been good. They typically are. De La Rosa was okay. 5 innings, 3 runs. Just 1 strikeout. He walked 3. Perez was very good. 1 earned run in 5 2/3. And the Rangers have had an opportunistic offense. Still very much a ball game. 3-1 as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. And Carlos Estevez is going to handle this 7th inning.
Well, this is his first appearance since being knocked out of the closer's role. I think this is a good opportunity for him. The ball game's still close. 3-1.
And he went slider and missed ball 1.
He did that on Monday back in Colorado. Went slider, very first pitch to Beltre that he threw was a slider.
And this ball's in the air to left field, a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Dahl waiting, he's got it. That'll bring up Rougned Odor. A walk, a ground ball to first, and a pop to short tonight for Odor. One thing to look at tonight for Estevez is that fastball command.
So he's showing a slider, fastball, and changeup. Changeup was a pitch that he got hurt on last time out. Not much action on it.
Fastball under the armpits, 1-1. Down on the farm, there's some interesting stuff going on. Raymil Tapia moved to AAA and kind of did the same thing he's been doing at AA and High A. 3 for 4 in his first AAA game. This ball's lined to left center field, and it's going to take a hop and kiss off the wall. Odor into second with a double.
I think that's 7 doubles in his last 8 games now for Rougned.
Well, where's this pitch, Huey?
Well, the pitch to Rougned is away from him, but it's also, see how low Nick was setting up, wanted it down, but it wasn't down. And that goes back to the fastball command or lack thereof. Too many pitches have been up from Carlos.
Lucroy homered his last at bat. 4th home run since joining Texas. Tonight is his first home game as a member of the Rangers.
Well, back in the 5th inning. Goes out just over the wall in dead center field, 404 feet away. Sometimes they don't say how far. It doesn't have to be a tape measure shot, just far enough. And that's what Lucroy will do. He'll give you the home runs, but he'll also give you gap to gap. Very good contact hitter. And that doesn't even take into account his defense and his pitch calling. But you were talking about down on the farm. I got to give a shout out, Drew, to the Dominican summer team. They won 18 straight ball games.
Yeah, how about that?
Congratulations, guys. 18 straight. I don't care what level or what league it is. That is impressive. Tip of the cap to those guys.
That's fouled off. Well, there's a young man, Julian Fernandez in Boise, who's closing games in Boise for the Rockies short A team, rookie league team in Boise. Guess what he hit on the gun the other day?
Well, you got to figure it was over 100.
It's over 100.
102.
That's really hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
102. He hit 104.
Did he?
He hit 104. He's been working at 99. Name to remember down the road. He had his 9th save. He has a 150 ERA for Boise.
Get a chance to catch a game at Boise. It's a fun place. Right, nice little town right by the fairgrounds.
It's fouled off.
Not too far from the river.
Nope.
Boise River that sneaks through town.
Some other notes from down under. Kyle Freeland won yesterday. 6 innings, 3 runs, 4 hits. Won his 3rd ball game. Eddie Butler threw a complete game shutout. A 7-inning Ferris doubleheader yesterday. 3 hits. Brendan Rodgers at the game-winning home run for Asheville. That missed. 3-2.
Kind of all over the Subaru strike zone. That's something that Carlos has been working on, and he says he needs to clean up himself.
and slider 3-2. LeMahieu will glove that, 2 outs.
Well, the first 15,000 fans through the gates on Sunday, August 21st, will receive a Nolan Arenado Gold Glove Minor bobblehead. It's courtesy of Newmont Mining and Project Cure. They're getting creative with these bobbleheads.
They are. Here's Profar, 1 for 3. Estevez has not had what you'd say is good command tonight. Even that slider, that 3-2 slider, and he induced the pop-up, not where he wanted it.
Now he's throwing 13 pitches, 7 strikes, 6 balls.
And he falls behind 2-0. And this ball's pulled foul into the seats. Estevez trying to get the 3rd out in the 7th. Rockies will have LeMahieu, Arenado, Reynolds in the 8th. Odor at 2nd. And no chance for Hundley. A wild pitch, 3-1 count, and to 3rd goes Odor. So unfortunately for Carlos, this has not been the kind of outing he was looking for.
3rd wild pitch. I'm surprised Nick was even able to get just a piece of leather on that baseball as far as it missed the strike zone.
Did he get leather on, or did he hit the shin guard of?
No, I think it just, that's what I'm saying. I think it was just a string attached to his glove that he was able to get any leather on.
Well, he's going to get out of it. The pitch is popped up. Adames coming on and makes the catch. Odor left at 3rd. We go to the 8th inning. Rockies trying to return the favor. Have a late inning victory. Here's this week's CenturyLink high-speed challenge poll question. Nolan Arenado has now hit 30 home runs in 2 straight seasons. Who was the last Rocky to accomplish this feat? And if you were listening the last few days, you may have the answer. Todd Helton, Matt Holliday, or Cargo. Go to @RootSports_RM to cast your vote. Keone Keller is now in the ball game on the hill, and there's another defensive change to tell you about, and this is good to see. Our old friend Drew Stubbs, the former Rocky, just came off the 60-day disabled list today. He had a little toe injury that kept him out for the last couple of months. He's in defensively in left field. And now Keller in the 8th inning. It'll be LeMahieu first, then Nolan Arenado.
Keller pitched on Monday night, was the winning pitcher in that game. 3-1 record on the season, but he threw an inning, gave up an earned run on 1 hit, had a walk. The hit he gave up to the guy that's standing on deck, and the RBI was also to Nolan.
Here's the 1-0. Slashed at by LeMahieu and fouled down the right field line, out of play. DJ lines it to right, coming on and making a sliding catch is Shin-Soo Choo.
We're giving the old Choo cheer here. DJ continues to just hit line drive after line drive. But Choo slides at the right moment on the Subaru Supermo. Looks the ball in, secures it before he starts sliding on the grass.
Nolan's 0 for 3. Couple fly balls to center field, and he hit a ground ball to first that turned into a double play. It may have been the Rockies' best opportunity at first and second. Nobody out. Nolan at the plate. This is line down the line, and it turns foul. Nolan's at the plate, and he hits the ground ball to first with Blackman at second, LeMahieu at first. And it was right in front of DJ, and Profar grabbed the baseball, tagged LeMahieu, and then walked to the bag for the double play. And there went a promising inning.
One of 2 double plays that the Rockies hit in against the Rangers tonight.
Perez has induced 31 ground ball double plays this year. It's #1 in baseball, and it ties the Rangers' all-time record in a season. That's 3-1. C.J. Wilson said it a few years ago. You got to figure since it's August 10th, Perez is going to blow that record away.
And the guy that holds the record, you think of him for something else other than the number of ground balls that were induced. At 45 double plays. Surgery guy, Tommy John.
Tommy John. He has the all-time record.
Yes. Major League record of 45 back in 1979.
So a 1-out walk to Nolan, and that'll bring up Mark Reynolds. The day after every Rockies win, get 50% off your online order at Papa John's. Use the promo code ROCKSWIN at papajohns.com. Reynolds is 0 for 3. Did reach on an error in the first inning. Rocky's last hit was a Blackman single in the 5th. Charlie has 3 of the 4 hits. The Rockies got 2 out of the gate. Blackman a hit, DJ a base hit to drive him in.
Jake Diekman, after the walk to Nolan, he jumped up and ran to the bullpen mound. Just looking at it, that more than likely be for David Dahl.
Doug Brocail is done with his conversation. He was unfazed by Diekman when he faced him on Monday. He had a sharp single up the middle in the 9th inning against Diekman. Unfortunately, the Rockies didn't get anything else going against hard-throwing lefty. Ball and 2 strikes on Mark Reynolds.
That extended David's hit streak that day because he didn't start. He came in and got the 1 hit off of Diekman.
Yeah, and speaking of his hitting streak, he reached in the 6th inning on what could have gone either way, but it was called an error on Elvis Andrus. So there's a base hit, and Dahl will come up officially 0 for 3. The Rockies with 2 on and 1 out. And let's see if you would assume, yep, here he comes. Jeff Bannister will make the change, and he'll go to Diekman.
Mark Reynolds reaches for this ball and shows you some strength to pull that ball that's away from him in the hole on the Subaru Supermo. Just out of the reach of a diving Elvis. Now it will be Diekman against Dahl when we come back.
Colorado Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at Southwest. Customers get your 2-for-1 club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies. Globe Life Stadium in Arlington, Texas. With Jeff Houston and Jenny Kavnar, I'm Drew Goodman. The Rockies got a run in the first, nothing since. They just got their first hit since the 5th. As Mark Reynolds rolled one through the left side. So they have first and second, 1 out. Arenado walked. He's at second. David Dahl up to face Jake Diekman. David's 0 for 3. Did reach on an error in his last at bat. 2-run ball game, 8th inning.
And that base hit for David in that game against Diekman was a ground ball single right up the middle.
David pulls it sharply down the line. Fair ball. 1 run will score. Trail runner is Reynolds. He's going to get a green light, and he's going to score on a David Dahl triple. How do you like that? 16 straight, and he ties up the baseball game.
I don't care who you bring in, righty, lefty, I don't care who he is, how hard he throws. Davis says, I've got him. That ball was inside For a brief moment, I thought Mitch Moreland was going to snag this. It scoots by him with just one out now. 2 runs in. Nolan's going to score easily. Mark Reynolds from first base. He's getting the green light from Stu Cole, and now a triple from David.
And the Rangers have to bring the infield in. Great speed at third. Huge at bat here for Rayburn. 0 for 1 and 2 walks. Cash this one in. Flip the tables on the Rangers. Boy, that kid is amazing.
16 games now.
It ties the second longest hitting streak of all time. He shares it with Juan Pierre. Yes, that Juan Pierre, the former Rocky. And you have to go back to 1941 for any streak longer. 17 games by Chuck Alenham of the Cincinnati Reds. Way inside. It's not just that he's thrown out a hit in 16 games. That's hard enough, especially your first 16 in the big leagues. Think of how many big hits he's had. Rockies are down 3-1. They got nothing going on. He's left on left against a guy who throws in the mid to upper 90s, and he delivers a triple.
3rd triple of the year for David.
Had 3 homers, 3 triples, and a double. Doing damage. 9 RBIs now. 2 and 2 on Rayburn. Get it in play. Okay, with his speed, even with the infield in, they may go on contact here.
With his speed, might take that chance. We saw him coming out of the box when he hit this triple. The way he was running, he's already saying, I've got 2, let me get 3. Takes a quick glance, the textbook base running. Quick glance over the left shoulder, pick up the bag again. Fundamentals for David Dahl are so sound.
Yeah, he did a nice job picking up Stu, didn't he?
Yeah, you about halfway to second base, you glance over at that third base coach, then you focus on the bag, pick him up again after you hit second base.
3-2. This is down the right field line, but it's well out of play. Rayburn battling away.
And I think if Rayburn hits this ball in the outfield, you're going to send Dahl.
No matter what.
No matter what, because you got Gerardo Parra coming up next, left on left.
He hit it in the air to deep left, way back, and it's near the track. This will score him easily. Great job, Ryan Rayburn. Dahl comes home. Rockies have taken a 4-3 lead. That is an outstanding job by Ryan Rayburn.
And fouled 2 pitches off to the right side, and finally was able to elevate that last one. Deep enough to left field for Dahl to score. And it all started innocently enough with the walk to Nolan.
Rockies with 3 in the 8th. We've heard this story the last few days, but it's been the bad guys getting the runs late. Here's Parra with 2 outs. First 2 runs are charged to Kela. There's Cargo greeting David Dahl. He's staring him down, looking in his eye, and
Yeah.
big brother just gave him the nod. That a baby. Cargo has spent, Huey, you and I have seen it, we've talked about it. He has spent a lot of time with David Dahl.
He's been in his spot before. This top prospect, the guy that's been, a lot of hype, a lot of things written about him. So Cargo understands some of the pressure that David is under, and he can relate to it. And if you're David, who better to have you say something to him than Cargo?
Yeah, you're definitely going to pay attention. You're going to pay attention to everybody. You better.
You better. But a left-handed hitter, plays the outfield, can do the things that David can do. Or should I say David can do the things that Cargo can do?
Yeah. Well, if he's feeling pressure, he's not exhibiting it. And Parra's gone. Diekman gets the strikeout, but the Rockies strike for 3 runs. They turn a 3-1 deficit into a 4-3 advantage. It's David Dahl in the middle of things again. 4-3 Rockies, middle of 8 in Arlington. Here's our Kubota pitching performance of the night. The matchup of the 2 starters. Perez had the better of Jorge De La Rosa. De La Rosa was okay, solid, not great, not horrendous, obviously. Kept the Rockies in the ball game. Perez was very good outside of the first inning, and he had 3 errors made behind him. But this one's now on the bullpens. The Rockies have taken a 4-3 lead. David Dahl triples in 2 and then scores the go-ahead run on the Rayburn sac fly. And now it'll be up to the much maligned bullpen of late, Boone Logan, who's from down the road in the San Antonio area. Dad's in attendance tonight, and Boone will face Elvis Andrus, Mitch Moreland, and Shin-Soo Choo. It really lines up well for Boone Logan this 8th inning. That's why Walt's called upon him.
Well, and then in the 9th inning, you've got Otto to back him up. Kind of the new look pen. Now, Boone's been here before in this 8th inning, so this is not new. He's worked a lot more in the 7th this year because that's where he's been needed, especially since Adam came back and he was working the 8th and you had Carlos in the 9th. Tonight, a little bit different.
I'll tell you something that brings some irony to this ball game, and hopefully it plays out like this. The Rockies can hang on, get the job done late with their bullpen. You know who the winning pitcher will be?
Carlos
Estevez. That's a strike. 2-2. After Andrus, it's 2 left-handed hitters, Moreland and Choo. Swung on and missed.
Nasty.
Boone Logan strikes out. Elvis Andrus, one gone.
That was nasty. It's the tilt on this slider. Right-handers 158 against Boone. Left-handers 150.
You wonder what do relievers do during the day in terms of getting ready for a game. I know, talking to Boone, he spends a lot of time looking at the guys he may match up with, and then if he's seen them recently, so you get to the third game of a series, or if it's a 4-game series like this ostensibly is, how he worked that guy before, and then he takes a real big read, as this is going to get past Mark Reynolds, so Moreland reaches. He gets a big read on the first pitch he delivers to that hitter, and he takes that data, and that'll determine the sequence he'll use after that.
Whether he has to change it up from what he's done previous, or if he thinks that's going to work for him still, even the second or third time that he faces him. Now Mitch Moreland would come into this at bat 3 for 5 against Boone. Oh, just didn't bend the knees. That would try. You have to get down. The hands have to be out in front if you're Mark. Just kind of got caught flat-footed. That will be an error, Mark's 6th of the season.
And now Chu gets hit. And the way it was lined up is how quickly baseball changes. You get the first guy who's a righty, you got 2 lefties coming up. You have an error behind you, and then Chu gets hit by a pitch. Just turned into it, and now you have 2 on and 1 out. And you're dealing with right-handed hitters again in the middle of that lineup. Ian Desmond will be first. Rockies right now just can't stand prosperity, and Walt's going to make a change.
It's a 6th hit by pitch for Chu this year.
And the Rockies are going to go to Jordan Lyles. Rockies up a run, 2 on for the Rangers in the 8th and 1 out.
Lead 4-3 as we head to the bottom of the 9th here. 1 out Couple runners on. Hey, MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is now available. You can join the millions of subscribers, watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices. Well, after the hit by pitch by Boone Logan to Sin-Soo Choo, Jordan Lyles has been called upon. Pitched yesterday, an inning, gave up a hit, an earned run, also had a walk and a strikeout against these Rangers.
He's given up a run in each of his last 2 outings, actually 3 altogether, 3 runs altogether. Desmond takes ball 1. If you're thinking of these Rangers pulling off yet another double steal, they have a couple in the series already and tried a third that there was a foul ball on. Not likely with Mitch Moreland being your lead runner here.
Well, and also the right-hander out there in Jordan Lyles, because it's easier to see for him than it is for a left-hander.
There's another strike. That is big. The swing pitch, the 1-1 pitch, is called strike 2. So it's 1-2 on Desmond.
Not sure what all the boos are about, because that was smack dab in the middle of the Subaru strike zone.
You got Beltran on deck. Rockies up by a run after a 3-run top of the 8th. They raced a 3-1 deficit. 2 on 1 out. Here's the 1-2 and a ground ball to first. And the only play for Reynolds was to go to first. So now you have 2 in scoring position. Obviously the runner at second's the go-ahead run, and Choo, who runs well. I mean, this is pick your poison. If you say, well, you can pass on Beltran, who's a switch hitter with first base open, and go right on right with Beltre. Either way, you're dealing with guys you'd rather not see.
Carlos Beltran 1 for 1 against Jordan with a home run. Beltre is 8 for 21, or 381 against Jordan. To go 4 wide to set up the force at any base. And then you go the right on right matchup. Adrian, he's tough though. He's tough 7th inning or on. I mean, all the RBIs that he has.
Well, I mean, he's a great player, and it's really pick your poison. And that's why managers have to first guess. And I think Walt, you know what, Walt's going to go to Ottavino, and he's going to ask for a 4-out save. And I think, given where the Rockies are right now, this is the best way to handle it. Go to your guy. So Adam Ottavino will jog in. Bases loaded when we come out. 2 outs in the 8th, 4-3 Rockies. The bases are loaded. There's 2 outs in the 8th inning. And Adam Ottavino's been summoned to produce a 4-out save. He's going to face Adrian Beltre. Ottavino has been simply superb. Coming off Tommy John surgery, and he's not completely sharp yet. If you ask him, the command's not what it will be, but it's still plenty good enough.
And this is the situation you need him in. You said it before we went to break, Drew. You need to shut this down.
And then you get the Bugs Bunny wiffle ball slider if you're Beltre for strike 1. Beltre 0 for 3 and a walk. Last 43 games, he's hit .411 against the Rockies. On the ground, into left field, base hit. That'll score 2. Throw to the plate, cut off. Rangers lead 5-4.
Unbelievable. Flat out unbelievable.
Does not matter right now who rolls out of the bullpen in the 8th or 9th inning. It does not matter. And the last cat you want to see is the 37-year-old Beltre.
'70 RBIs on the season for Beltre. And you mentioned how the sharpness from Adam, that slider was up, and he stayed on it past a dive from Adames. I mean, this is how close it is right now. He hits a shot, Christian dives, and then the throw home's cut off, and the Rangers go up by 1.
I don't know what to say.
Exactly. Stunned.
You see bullpens have bad runs. But right now, it doesn't matter who Walt calls upon. It doesn't seem to be there tonight. And Adam Ottavino, those runs aren't charged to him. But Adam Ottavino has not given up a run since 2014. Of course, he missed a lot of time, we understand, with the Tommy John surgery. But that ball was hit hard into left center field for a base hit, and it drives in 2. And that error really cost it. I'm sure Mark Reynolds is smarting from that. Just the little things. They're not finishing games.
No, but then the next guy, Boone Logan, left on left, hits Chu.
Now you turn to the 9th inning. Rockies down a run. They'll have Hundley, Adames, Blackman. Those are the scheduled 3. On your bench, you have Descalso, Cargo perhaps, and the former #1 pick in the entire draft for the Padres as a shortstop, Matt Bush, is throwing, and this thing bounces up. And now runners move up 90 feet on a wild pitch by Ottavino. 2-2 on Odor.
Second wild pitch tonight by the Rockies. One by Carlos last inning, and now this one from Adam. Nick doing all he can to try to smother it.
Ground ball to first. Reynolds comes up with that. That'll end the inning. The Rockies take the lead, and they had the lead for less than 10 minutes. Beltre delivers a 2-run single, and now the Rockies will have to rally against Matt Bush at the top of the 9th to avoid another
heartbreaking loss. Rally together. Hundley will be first up. And he's going to face the guy who's been converted into a late inning man, Matt Bush. He throws very, very hard. This guy has talked about overcoming adversity and a whole bunch of other stuff to get back to the big leagues as a pitcher. It's really a remarkable story.
Success story for Matt Bush. Cargo's taped up.
Doesn't look like he's hitting.
No. And Descalso's on deck to hit for Adames. Matt Bush, you see 95 on that first pitch, but he'll sit at 97, 98, can touch 100. His last 4 games, 6 scoreless innings. They're not using their closer, Sam Dyson, tonight.
He got the save yesterday. That was a slider that was saying hit me and hit me hard. Nick wishes he had that one back. That was up in the zone.
But that's kind of the difference when a bullpen's going well and when it's not. Those sliders at 89 that saying hit me, they get fouled off. If you're not going well, that's a gapper or over the wall.
No swing on the curveball. 1-2. It's just an ugly run for your bullpen, and there's so much focus on a bullpen because, you know, games come down to the final 3 or 6 outs, and all the focus turns to those guys that jog in and are asked to get key outs.
Well, tonight too, it was different than what we've seen in the past. Walt shaking it up, moving guys in different spots. Wants it, you know, Otto to do this, and Carlos pitched the 7th tonight.
Hey, given the circumstances, Walt couldn't have done it any better. This ball to short. 1 out. I'll bring up Descalso to pinch hit for Adames. Who Wants Tacos? Fans follow at @Root_RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special when the Rockies score 7 or more runs.
Rockies gave up 4 in the 8th, another run in the 9th yesterday. The day before, they gave up 3 in the 9th. Tonight they gave up 2 in the 8th after producing a 3-run 8th of their own. Rockies of late have not been good for your health.
You said it earlier, scored a lot of runs from the 7th inning on, giving up a lot of runs.
2 outs. Well, the right guy's up there to keep something going. Charlie's 3 for 4. He has 3 of the Rockies' 6 hits. How about a Blackman double and a LeMahieu single?
And then maybe a Nolan bomb.
I'm in.
And the hard thing too with Bush is you've never seen this guy before. You've never seen Matt and what his fastball looks like, what his changeup looks like.
They just pumped 2 fastballs, 196, the last one 97 in there. And it's 0-2. Two outs, a 2-strike count on Blackman. 5-4 Texas. The Rangers win it 5-4. They come from behind again with 2 in the bottom of the 8th inning. Another disturbing, disheartening, tough to take loss for the Rockies. Adrian Beltre, 37-year-old, with a 2-run single in the bottom of the 8th inning. That's the difference in this ball game. Five for the final as the bullpen lets down the Rockies late once again. The Rockies fall to 55 and 59. Texas is now 21 games above 500. Leading the American League West, and the Rangers have won 5 straight. Our Jimmy John's delivery of the game against Adam Ottavino, bases loaded, an 0-1 pitch. He got another slider, and he ripped it past the diving Christian Adames, and that ultimately the difference in the ball game. Not much left to say. 5-4 Texas. We go to the studio. Here's Mark and Spilly.